Hello everyone, welcome back to the latest episode of This Is Why We Stand on Westchester Talk Radio. We are truly grateful to the Lanza Family Center for All Ages for being such generous hosts today. Could not have asked for more accommodating hosts and really have a very special guest right here where I'm very honored to introduce William Nazario. He is the president of the military order of the Purple Heart, New York State Commander. He served in the Vietnam War, a proud Marine Corps veteran. I'm tremendously honored to have you with us here today. Really appreciate you coming down and being a part of the show today.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here and discuss various issues, as they come up.
Absolutely. I was kind of just telling you before, it really is such an honor for us anytime we can have a Vietnam veteran. I've been so honored to have so many on the program over the years, and it really is for me especially to kind of say welcome home to people such as yourself, because again, it's one of the things we really want to try to do is make sure our Vietnam veterans get the respect that they didn't all necessarily get back then, but you certainly were owed, and that we can hopefully pay you the respect you're due now. But kind of tell us a little bit about what led you into the service during that time. How did you get into the Marine Corps?
Drafted.
There you go.
Yeah, reported down 1969 to the draft center down in Whitehall Street, and there was 50 guys there getting inducted at the time, and they needed one for the Marine Corps, and nobody volunteered, and they did it in a fashion which they called democratic process. And they took the fifth file from the bottom, and they called my name, and I looked around to see if there was another Nazario in the place. I says, it's a common name. Somebody's got to stand up. Unfortunately, I was the only one. And when I got up, it seemed like a sitcom at the time, because as I'm walking up there, the rest of the clowns in there that were getting inducted, they're humming the Marine Corps hymn. And they said to me, Marines are always first, so guess what? You're going to be the first to be inducted. I'm like, okay, here comes the special treatment. I went to boot camp down in Paris Island, which I visited 3 years ago after all that time. My wife got me almost in a pickle there with the drill instructor that was there. But Paris Island, then to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. From Camp Lejeune, came home for 2 weeks. Then back out to California to Camp Pendleton, where I had survival training and escape and evasion courses and stuff like that. And from there to El Toro Marine Corps Air Station, where they flew us out to Vietnam. And first night there, I'm still brand new. I mean, it was my first night, and I'm hearing sirens going off in the middle of the night, and people running around in the dark, and I'm wondering what the hell is going on, and we were getting rocketed and mortared. And my first thoughts were, this is just my first night. What the hell is going to be the rest of my year out here, They told me to duck, hide, whatever, and I dove. And that's when my luck started. I dove behind a latrine and came up smelling like roses. And then I wondered why nobody would, get close to me. And I guess it was the perfume I was wearing. I got assigned to Fox Company, 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines. I was in 0311, which in the Army they call 11 Bravo, which means I'm an infantryman, rifleman. And from there I became I walked point. I was a point man for like 4 months. First out, one day alone I found 3 booby traps, one of which was a 500-pound bomb, which if we had tripped, nobody in my squad would have made it out. but I enjoyed it. I don't know. I guess it was the adrenaline rush or whatever, which is common among a lot of our young vets who come home. They miss that rush, that adrenaline rush, you know.
Is part of it, being with your guys, you're out there looking, the brotherhood of it? You think that was something to do with it?
Yeah, and the thing about it is, I spent my time out in the bush, in the jungles. And one of the things I learned from the guys that have been there a while, you try not to get too close to people and know too much about them, because it makes it that much harder when you lose them. And we'd get new guys coming in, and it just kept going on and on as far as, I don't want to know about your personal life. Especially when I became a squad leader. One night we lost 3 squad leaders. We got hit. And the next morning I'm called over to the captain, and he's telling me, you're now a squad leader. And I told him, I says, I'm not, this is not what I wanted to be. I'll stay at point. And he says, you're crazy. Not too many people want to stay at, be the point man. But they made me a squad leader. And at that point in time, I was already 22 years old. I had 19 and 18-year-olds. So I was like the older guy in the squad. The reason I got drafted late in life was because I was in college, and I lost my college deferment, and that was due to all my activities going on outside. Besides socializing, but also the '60s was a time of movement. You had the Black Panthers, you had the Young Lords representing the Puerto Ricans, and you have SDS, Students for a Democratic Society, which was was on the Attorney General's list. Unfortunately, I knew a lot of those people. My roommate was a Black Panther. I had moved out of from my home, and we'd sit around, and I'm talking about in the East Village, which was very active. We'd sit around and talk about the revolution is coming and all that other, stuff that was going on in the '60s. But our phone was being tapped, and so you get caught up in that stuff, and the next thing you know, my grades went down, and I got drafted. I lost my college deferment. But getting back to the, I didn't want to be a squad leader. I was the older guy, and I felt responsible. I didn't know that I was feeling that, but I felt responsible for these younger guys, and But I'll tell you one thing. I tried to get out on being crazy. They called my first day. They called a squad leaders meeting, and everybody gave me a compass and a map telling us the area we're going to operate in, and everybody takes out their maps and to figure out where area of operations we're going to be at. And me being the wise guy that I am, I pulled out a map of the New York City subway system. And my captain looked at me. He was an Annapolis graduate, and he looked at me and says, I know where you're going with this. You're here to stay. Forget it. You're not going out on a psych. I says, well, according to my map, there's a subway station here somewhere, and I'm getting on and I'm going home. He says, nice try. But, that's sometimes, you use levity to, just relieve the tension, Yeah, it was rough, dealing with, young guys, and I did my tour.
Well, I'm sure, especially like you were saying, being in the jungle, being with an enemy that is constantly hiding and trying to engage you and deny you the advantage of air power and things like that, you can never let your guard down. And I'm sure that over time, that really weighs on you.
Yeah, hypervigilance, that's what we call it, along with the post-traumatic stress disorder, which I've been diagnosed with. Hypervigilance, understand this. Here you are a year in Vietnam, and all those tools that you use to survive, it's not easy letting go of. It's not easy letting go of. Go to dinner, go to lunch with a bunch of Vietnam vets, and walk into a restaurant and watch the action. The action being, see who's the first one to go to a table that's facing the door, facing the exit. That's part of the hypervigilance. We want to see who's coming in and the quickest way out in the event something were to occur. That's all part of it, you know. And like I said, it is not easy letting go of those tools that, you know, were part of your survival kit. I had difficulty with it, and for years I dealt with it the best way I thought I could, which eventually I thought that I had everything under control. And what they say about, you know what they say about control, control is just an illusion. And it eventually got me into the PTSD unit at Montrose VA, and that's a 45-day program. You're inpatient, you don't go anywhere. All you do is you go to classes and talk about your issues, and with therapists and everything else. I did that program in 1997, and that's like 27 years after coming home. I was still dealing with a lot of stuff unbeknownst to me, and the only reason I wound up in there was I had been attending or going to the Harlem Vet Center, and my therapist there, he's the one that saw what I was going through. And once again, I was under the impression that I had you know, my Sierra together, and it was through an intervention with him and my wife that got me into Montrose. And I went there kicking and screaming because I could have sworn up and down that everything was A-okay with me. But it was the best thing I ever did. And till today, I'm very involved with that PTSD unit, doing all sorts of things for our veterans. And I've seen the funny part about it is, I remember sitting there, and it was just a bunch of us Vietnam vets. As time went on, and I was attending group therapy there and individual therapy after I got discharged, I saw the younger vets coming in, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, it's still going on, you know. But you know, and they came in with attitudes. Let me tell you. And I'm looking at them, and I'm like, they all huddled together. We sat around in a circle, and the Iraq, Afghanistan vets, they were all huddled together. And I'm looking at them like, you know. And one of my friends in the group, Vietnam vet, Bobby, tells them, he says, you know, the reason you guys are here, so you know, you don't have to go through what we went through. Take the same journey we had to take when we came home, and avoid all those pitfalls that come with it. And one of them got up and said to him, you think I want to be here 20 years from now with you muzzle loaders? I was like, oh God, we're in for a world of hurt in this one, you know. But fortunately, it worked out. You know, a lot of those young men were able to adjust, and like what was our mission, you know, brother helping brother, and a lot of them are doing well. A lot of them are doing well. You know, you lose some along the way. It's like anything else. It's not 100% cure-all, but at least you know what you're dealing with, and that's the main thing. You know what the triggers are, and unfortunately, not enough of our vets go through this PTSD program or get diagnosed, and therein lies the problem. As far as our younger veterans, even our older veterans, you'd be surprised how many Vietnam vets got incarcerated, and that was due to the fact they were untreated for the post-traumatic stress. But the object is to get these young men the treatment they need so they don't get incarcerated. And that's why I'm I'm pushing for a veterans court in Westchester County so that we can stop the recidivism of veterans going in and out of the system. It is not right, especially when they're untreated. This is something that I've been pushing for like, I don't know, about 6-8 years easily. Unfortunately, Westchester County is not on board with it, but yet you go to the Bronx, they do. Go to Queens, they do. Staten Island, I was in Staten Island, I met there with the district attorney, Staten Island, and it's working. It works. It works because instead of sending them into the penal system or giving them a record or anything, you have a judge who will tell them, you know what, you served in Iraq, you served in Afghanistan, apparently there's something here, an issue that needs to be addressed. And right here in Westchester County, we have the #1 PTSD program in the nation, and we're not taking full advantage of it. We're not. Bring them into court, send them there, have them evaluated, treated if need be, especially if there's drug and alcohol issues, because a lot of veterans, unfortunately, they wind up self-medicating. And this is one way of stopping all of that. And in the long run, it's not only good for the veteran, but for the taxpayer. Because rather than to take a veteran and constantly put him in the system, we pay for it. Not only do we pay for it, but the veteran. Because I'm sure that veteran has probably a wife, father, son, brothers, sisters, family who suffer along with him because they want him the way he was before he went into the military and served overseas. So it's a program that's nationwide, and I think that Westchester County should get on board with it.
Well, I really appreciate you giving us kind of a perspective and an insight on this, because I do think it's something that so many people around Westchester probably have no idea of, and it's certainly something you could just tell how passionate you are about it, and the work that you're doing is certainly so important, and hopefully by getting that message out, more people will hear about it. I also kind of want to highlight what you do, as a Purple Heart recipient, being wounded in combat, and also being in charge of the Military Order of the Purple Heart for New York State. You're the state commander. What does it mean to you to be able to say that you are a proud recipient of that award and that you're all the work you do with this organization?
Well, in essence, I have people. I have legislative directors. I've got chapters all up and down New York State, and we try to provide services. We also volunteer at the VAs. I, for one, have over 4,000 hours easily as a volunteer at the Montrose VA Hospital. We try to provide comfort and understanding to our veterans who are hospitalized. Pushing legislation. I've pushed legislation. I have one now, which hopefully will hit the Senate floor January, and that is a veteran scratch-off lottery, where money made from that will go towards various not-for-profits, such as suicide prevention, homelessness among veterans. I can go on and on. The list is the deal is New York State right now is in a deficit. This will alleviate some of that deficit by giving funds to like vet-to-vet program and other programs that are out there. Every time they go a budget, they cut services on veterans and stuff like that, which just irks the hell out of me, to put it nicely. And this way we can give, it works. I was in Texas, prior to state commander, I was the national senior vice commander at the national level for the Military Order Purple Heart. and I was in Texas there at a convention, and one of the proceedings, their scratch-off lottery, they started it. They gave a $1 million grant to a homeless veteran program. So it works. Last year they made $25 million. So hopefully we can get this on the road and be able to reach out and help more veterans. These are some of the things that we do. We got the Purple Heart coin, National Purple Heart coin. It's going to be minted up in West Point by the U.S. Mint. That's going to raise money for the Purple Heart Hall of Honor, which is up in New Windsor. That was pushed through by Congressman Maloney, whom I served on his board, and we pushed it through, and hopefully next year it'll be minted. Already there's people waiting to purchase this coin. It's gold, silver, and an alloy, and those monies after the U.S. Mint, which is just an official, it's by Congress, after they recoup their money, all monies made will go towards that. These are, just there's various things. I mean, I get calls from all over the country and with various ideas, and we try to push them through. It's about helping veterans. That's what my mission is. I'm not only a state commander. I consider myself a veterans advocate, something that I proudly wear. And hopefully we can get more veterans involved. This is, like I said, I served there. I served close ties with Nita Lowey, Congresswoman Nita Lowey, who unfortunately is leaving, and also our new state senator, Senator Harkman, whom I had a meeting with. Andrea Molina was there from the Vet program, and we discussed some of the issues that affect not only veterans but also different veteran services, and how we can help and how the state senate can help. So yeah, just constantly doing. I'm retired but not retired.
No, from this, how it's amazing how active you are and everything. That's one of the things that makes me so proud to do this program and is so inspiring is veterans like yourself. You beyond the days of being in the active duty, you never stop looking out for your fellow veterans, doing whatever you can to provide services or just create a better life for them. And like I said, it really is just incredible. I think that's what it's all about, being an American, is being there for each other. And certainly for you, all the stuff that you're doing is just absolutely incredible. If there's ever any way we can help you get your messages out, you've always got a platform here. We're always happy to help in any way that we can. It's absolutely incredible what you're doing, and we wish you the continued best of luck in it.
Thank you. This Thursday I got a meeting with the director of the Hudson Valley VA healthcare system, and I'm trying to work something out so that we can have a transitional housing or a place for homeless vets when they're found out in the street. We can bring them in, especially with the weather being what it is. Unfortunately, I've heard it from too many veteran service organizations and veterans advocates that they'll find a vet living in a cardboard box with barely anything to eat, and they bring them in, but they don't have a place where they can actually drop them off. I mean, it is a mess, and that shouldn't be. No veteran should be sleeping under a bridge or in a park.
Absolutely not.
And, with all the money that's given to foreign countries and everything else, I think some of that money should come to help our veterans and get them on the right track.
Absolutely, and it's something we'll continue to push, and it's something I know that you will never stop working towards. We got to hit a break here, but again, thank you so much for your time today and coming in. We'd love to have you on another time, because I know with everything you're involved in, there's so much more to get into, but William, it was a true pleasure meeting you and having you on the program today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. My honor to be here.
Thank you.